Hello and welcome to News Express, exclusively brought to you by Business AM, Nigeria's fastest growing financial and business newspaper. I am Chukunonso Modi. All right, let's bring in Mr. Philip, the publisher of Business AM, to help us make sense of the headlines. Good morning, Mr. Philip.
Yeah, good morning, Nonso. It's good to be back with you again.
It's good to have you here. So we're talking foreign investments now. The headline says foreign investors avoiding Nigeria's oil region states as FDIs move south. Now, we've talked about our oil in Nigeria, and this, I wouldn't say this is surprising that foreign investors are avoiding oil region states, especially with what happened with Shell and the likes. But Mr. Philip, talk to us about that. What's happening in that aspect?
No, so this is a treasure trove of data. It takes quite a lot to be able to unpack data that come out of the Bureau of Statistics. What we have done in this story is to distill this data and then to perhaps do what you call a regional segmentation, of how FDIs, are coming into the country, and to see what I would personally call a shift in the balance of investment power. Of course, naturally, you have Lagos State, which is the commercial or the financial hub of Nigeria, attracting quite a lot of investments, but there are quite some dynamics that have changed a whole lot of things. But before that, you had call it a balance of power between Lagos and the dominant area that produces crude oil. Remember the days when we used to talk about oil services companies, the Schlumberger and the rest of them, who were all over Port Harcourt, all over Warri, and all the Niger Delta states or areas where crude oil is produced. You had quite a lot of them in those areas, and then so that dynamic changed in the sense that you had upheavals, the kidnapping that the unrest that were taking place, the agitation, for agitations that were taking place in the Niger Delta, especially those who were fighting for, who said they were fighting for, proper what's called where the oil is produced should be properly not compensated but properly taken care of, and then that caused a whole lot of dynamic change, that saw a whole lot of them move out of the oil oil region states, the Delta, River State in particular, Bayelsa, and the rest of them. So what the numbers are coming out to particularly say, looking at some historical data, it says only 0.51% of Nigeria's FDIs between 2013 and the first quarter of 2020, went to the region. It's amazing to find that the region that is supposed to be the bread basket, so not food basket now, but the bread and butter of the country, because that is where you have that produces the crude oil that brings the chunk of foreign exchange that helps the national reserves, and you have a period of between 2013 and first quarter of 2020, just 0.51% of FDIs, foreign direct investment going into the region. Imagine that they said some states attracted only one FDI in 9 years. And then state government, of course, people talking about state governments not encouraging a spirit of enterprise within the region itself, or the states within the region. But the key thing is that the data is very staggering. This data is telling you, that from what's been released, taking historical account from whether 2013 to 2020, even up to 2023, that the FDIs that are coming into the country, the foreign direct investments coming into the country, are no longer going to the region that produces crude oil, and that the FDIs are now moving to the south, south meaning Lagos in particular, and then so this is really crucial. This is really very, very important data, that, I mean, the way it has been distilled in this story, it's very, very important, that you see, one major, you can imagine that one of the major refineries, the biggest, was one of the biggest refineries, if you like, the Dangote refinery, is sited in Lagos, and many people will have thought initially that, they had thought initially that such a project will be sited closer to where the crude oil, will be sourced, which will be the Niger Delta region. But that hasn't happened, and that's a huge, what you call huge, call it not whether you want to call it foreign direct investment, but local, of course, the local businessman Aliko Dangote is doing this, but it has international clout, and quite a lot of money have come from different parts of the world for that project, and that is the thing that the story is talking about, that investments haven't been going to the region, that investments are drying up, but it talks about the factors that are responsible for this. Of course, we talk about the unrest, that we noticed at the beginning, that made a lot of companies begin to pull out of the country. Out of the region. This region, Abia, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, Imo, and Ondo states. The thing is that it's the data is quite interesting. The data that this has produced is quite interesting. Talked about among the oil region states that did not attract any form of investments. You're talking about the states in the oil region, that region that year on year, between Q2 of 2015 and Q2 of 2022 did not attract any foreign capital investment, include Bayelsa, Cross River, and Imo State. So they did not attract at all a single foreign direct investment, and say among those, again, says states that did not attract any form of investment, depicting the deplorable state of FDI in the affected states are Abia, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, Imo, and Ondo states. And again, they say all these are states that are contiguous oil-producing states grouped under the Niger Delta region. It's an interesting data. This is very, very, very interesting. If you distill down further, there's a part where it talks about some of the states that have received only one foreign capital inflow since Q2 of 2015. According to the MDS data, are among the states with the lowest foreign investment in the country. Again, Abia, which received 1.27 million in Q2 of 2018. Delta, in the same period, received 1.12 million only, while Edo was only able to attract 1.04 million in Q2 of 2019. Now compare that with how they pale into insignificance. When you look at Lagos, say, the huge FDI accretion that Lagos State had. He said the Nigerian financial capital, which of course has what we call red hot GDP, estimated to rise to 355 billion by 2025, received 69% or 1.05 billion of all Nigeria's FDI inflow in Q2 of 2022. Again, this is 35% higher than the 870 million it got in the same period in the previous year. So the data is quite interesting. What we have discovered or what we have found out here. So difficult investment climate. That's been given. Lack of spirit of enterprise. Again, people looking at what was responsible for this. Why the situation has moved so much, so quickly, and so quickly that that region responsible for huge, the region that produces crude oil, that is responsible for the what's called the foreign exchange earnings that we have. Most of the foreign exchange earnings that the country has, it's not attracting investment. But again, of course, you have reasons that you can adduce that specific to the region, but you can also have the general Nigerian investment climate. Again, recall that we had this long what's it called, hiatus with regards to the passing of the PIB, that the petroleum industry bill, that took quite a lot of time. And in that period, a lot of those investors who were interested in the oil region of Nigeria, had moved to other parts of the world to put their investment. So they are still suffering from that. The general Nigerian economy that is not appearing. That does not seem to be favorable at the moment. To investors. And then the specific issues that the different regions have with regards to how they have, structured themselves a difficult investment environment, or climate, and then you talk about the lack of spirit of enterprise on the part of the leaders of the states in the region. And so.
Yes, I do agree, and this is actually a truckload of data that Business AM has given us with this article, and it is quite sad to see what's happening, especially with that part where it talked about state governments not encouraging spirit of enterprise. It is not good to see. Somehow I feel like we always call the president and his administration. We don't also call the state government. We don't even call our local government chairmen.
That is it's a federation, right?
Yes.
So it is a federation, but it seems like everybody has acquiesced to it being a unitary government, because everybody talks about the federal government all the time. But it is a unitary. It's a federal government, and then it's a federation, and the structure is such that those states are largely independent. Never mind the fact that, of course, so what you call federal allocation stuff that they do, notwithstanding that, but they still have some kind of freedom to be able to ginger their states to be whatever. In terms of progress that they want their states to be.
Yes.
But so what this has revealed again is that we've had a long. This period that we're talking about, of course, which the data covers. It looks at a period where we have often heard, that state governors, are going to different parts of the world, to sometimes do roadshow, sometimes to attract foreign investors. And one angle of this story is to expose the I don't want to use criminality, but the indolence, of those of those trips that we've always heard about.
We've heard
that they're going to different parts of the world, to attract foreign direct investment, and we're hearing that in for a long period of time, between 2013 and 2020, that you have just 0.51%. Of those investment that they spend quite a lot of money, going on jamborees, to different parts of the world, leading large delegations, of governors, retinues of advisors and what have you, and the data is telling us that those trips, were taken or are still being taken, for some inconsequential results.
Honestly, but like you said, this is really an eye opener, and I don't know. This, in fact, there's a lot to say on this. Honestly, Mr. Philip, I feel like if we continue with this, we wouldn't go. But let's move to the next story, and this one too is also talking about investment. And it says IIF's 2023 market days could offer Nigeria foreign investors billions of dollars a lifeline. It's sad because we are in a a troubled economy right now. We are in desperate need of this foreign currency investors. So that's why conversations like this are popping up. It's every day our naira is depreciating, Mr. Philip. It's so sad to see that. The last I checked, it was 1,300 to $1. I'm sure it must have gone past. In fact, I don't even want to check because I feel like it will give me high blood pressure, Mr. Philip.
Absolutely. That's been very, very disheartening, to quite a large number of citizens, in different parts of the world, not just those in Nigeria who are aware of what's going on. The thing is that, of course, you have a large number of people who may not be able to connect the dots, with regards to what's going on, in rural areas who don't even know what you're talking about when you talk about dollars, But the way it is nowadays, you can bloody well tell that quite, some people, that you wouldn't expect to be talking about dollars, will talk about dollars, in some marketplace as well, but the key thing is that Nigeria is in desperate need of foreign currencies. Nigeria needs to get bring in more quickly, bring in the dollars or whatever you have, foreign currencies. And sometimes this have to come through a foreign direct investment or foreign portfolio investments. It doesn't really matter. The key thing is that Nigeria has suffered quite a lot. The economy is in tatters at the moment. Nigeria doesn't know where the money will have to come from, because even though oil prices are looking good at the moment, Nigeria is not producing quite enough, to be able to earn the type of foreign exchange that it needs, and then of course you have the problem of crude oil theft in the Niger Delta, as well as the fact that production is not meeting the OPEC quota that Nigeria has been assigned to.
It's not.
And so that's quite a challenge that the country faces. Now, here comes the AIF, Africa Investment Forum, that
Market
is organizing this. Organizing these market days, in Marrakesh in Morocco, where we talk about hundreds of people. Bringing investors or people who manage fund managers and people who have loads and loads of money looking for a bankable project to put them on, across in Africa. Now, this is specifically for Africa, So the story is actually saying that here's an opportunity, for Nigeria. We saw how not very quickly soon after the president was inaugurated, you had the G20 meeting in India, and where we saw him, even appear there before the main G20 people began to arrive, so that's going to G20. Here is an investment forum that is this market days, that the Africa Investment Forum is putting together, bringing under one roof fund managers or investors with hundreds of billions of dollars looking for bankable projects to put their money on. So this is an opportunity. This is happening in Africa. For the presidents we suggest. Thinking that he should be putting his suitcase together, and carrying his luggage and be heading to Marrakesh with his team of advisors and people responsible for the economy. So it's a good window to where you to look for investment. The key thing about this is that we learned that when market days are on, it gives the opportunity. I'll give an opportunity to the president of the country, to appear as if he's the CEO. Of course, he's the CEO of the country if you look at it, but in terms of a business term, the CEO appears the CEO of the country and speak to investors almost like you're pitching your country, you're pitching the investment, bankable investment opportunities or investment projects in your country to these people. So it will be a good opportunity for the president or the vice president. But I think the president, to appear, to really represent Nigeria, in terms of this investment that they are looking for, and then and look at the different. I'm sure there are quite a lot of projects that would have been put together, that are bankable. Whether you speak about it in terms of a private sector project or public sector project, it's quite a lot of areas that are in need of funds, and when those funds come into the country, of course, we're talking about foreign exchange being a major problem, then you can then have the foreign exchange that you've been looking for.
Yes, I'm really hoping or looking forward to this market days, because we do need things like this at this point. Because, in fact, I was going through the newspaper and I saw, under commodities and agriculture, talking about wheat farming for November benefits. I also saw investors betting big on Nigeria's coffee industry to earn over $2 billion by 2025. I mean, everybody's looking for ways to in which we can invest, even if it's not for the economy itself, but for ourselves, so that we will
absolutely Nonso.
Because if we are doing well, it will tell on our economy. Because Mr. Philip, things are really bad in Nigeria right now. I cannot overemphasize this. I like that you said that even people that don't really have anything to do with the dollar are complaining. You go to the market, they will tell you, dollar don't rise. Are you looking at this person? You're selling rice and beans. What's your business with the dollar? But that's how much it has affected every single thing around us. But I'm hoping that with things like this, quickly, let's touch on this wheat farming. It's talking about wheat farming for November benefits. How exactly is it going to help this November?
I guess the basic thing about that particular story is that you're preparing wheat. Farmers. Of course, wheat is one of these. We talk about drains on the foreign exchange of this country,
yes.
And if you want to list them, wheat will be right up there, because of the bread, the confectionaries we guzzle all everything, foreign, So wheat will be the major one of the major items that does take Nigeria. Guzzle Nigeria's foreign exchange. But recall too, we are still in this Russia-Ukrainian crisis, that's still going on. The war that's going on there. And recall that how at the beginning, that it became obvious, how much Africa generally, is dependent on food from outside its continent, despite the fact that they say Africa has the largest arable, cultivatable land, in the world, but we were exposed, First of all, COVID-19 came, exposed us a little, substantially, how helpless the continent is. Of course, we already knew that Africa, not poor in terms of resources, but has been regarded as the poor continent of the world, because it has not been able to, turn its resources into what you call, into riches.
Yeah.
So then COVID-19 came. Before you know it, that exposed us, our vulnerability, Africa's vulnerability.
It all came out,
and then you then had Ukraine crisis, and everybody realized that, whoa, you don't produce any food. You produce food, but you don't produce enough to feed yourself. So Africa,
yes.
So that's been a major issue. Why can't Africa get things right? So this particular one, wheat being one of the things that drains Nigeria's foreign exchange, and then there being a window. Of course, there have been efforts, made in the past to try to encourage wheat farming, but so they say there's a window, that you can take advantage of, which is this November thing that they're talking about, and then they're saying that wheat farmers, should prepare, to cultivate wheat in time, to reap benefits of November planting window. So there's a window, a planting window in November, so it's almost like galvanizing the farmers, to be able to plant wheat, so that this November window, can be taken advantage of. So that's basically what he's talking about, But again, there has to be a proper structure, so that you don't have to be doing this, You don't have to be trying to motivate or galvanize the farmers to be able to do this. So there should be a system, that generally triggers off that everybody gets on board, because it's crucial that Nigeria is able to produce its own wheat or enough wheat, to ensure the kind of harvest, So there have been quite a lot of issues with regards to the harvest, the amount, how much can Nigeria really produce, But I believe that not quite a lot of, enough attention, the type of attention that it requires, to galvanize wheat production, has been made. I believe that if attention is given to it, Nigeria is capable of being able to produce enough food, for for itself and its people.
Yes, if we give it enough attention, Mr. Philip, it will definitely work. I like that you said, in fact, this is something we have been saying over and over again, that there's so much Nigeria can do, but then we're focusing on only the things that we're not meant to focus on. But, well, we'll see how the stories develop this week. Thank you again, Mr. Philip, for coming on the show.
You're welcome, Nonso. We'll see. We'll probably be talking from Morocco when we speak.
No problem. Please do help us champion the cause when you're there, Mr. Philip.
Not a problem.
All right. Okay, that was Mr. Philip Isakwa, the publisher of Business AM. Do not forget, you can listen in again by going to www.africabusinessradio.com and clicking on the News Express podcast. That's all for now. Stay tuned for more.